Once upon a time, there lived two sisters named Cheta and Ifechi. Their father married two wives, and Cheta was the daughter of his first wife, whilst Ifechi was his second wife's daughter. Ifechi and Cheta have never been close. Their mothers have been sworn enemies for so many years, and this impacted on their relationship with each other. Despite this, Cheta has tried all that she could to extend a hand of friendship to her sister Ifechi, but this has not been successful because Ifechi believed her sister was a pretender. One day, Cheta went to the local market and stumbled upon a very beautiful dress. Cheta believed that the dress would suit her sister Ifechi, so she bought the dress for Ifechi, who rejected it, saying that the dress was charmed. This broke Cheta's heart, as she loved her sister dearly and wished that Ifechi would grow above their mother's hatred to see that she genuinely loved her like a sister. Many years passed, and still all of Cheta's efforts to broker peace with her sister proved futile. One day, Cheta was heading to the farm when she saw an old woman carrying a heavy basket on her head. Cheta immediately approached the old woman and asked if she could help her carry the basket home. The old woman told her not to worry, but Cheta insisted as she pleaded with the woman to allow her carry the basket. The old woman later agreed, and Cheta joyfully carried the basket as she followed the old woman home. When they arrived at the old woman's house, Cheta noticed that the old woman's son was extremely sick. He was laying on a mat, shivering and sweating. Cheta asked the old woman if her son had eaten all day, and the old woman revealed that she went to the farm to harvest some crops and also pluck some herbs to prepare his daily concoction for his sickness. Cheta immediately carried the food items to the kitchen and began to prepare a meal for the old woman and her sick son. By the time she was done, it was already dark, so Cheta returned home happy that she was able to help the old woman and her sick son. When Cheta got home, she met her father fuming in anger. "Papa, what is the problem?" she said, as her father began to wail and shout at her, asking why she was returning home late at night. Cheta tried to explain herself, but her sister Ifechi interrupted her, saying that Cheta spent the whole day at her boyfriend's house. This infuriated her father, who blamed Cheta's mother for raising a wayward child. Ifechi was so happy to see her sister in pain. It felt like winning in a competition, and Ifechi did not mind lying to ensure that her sister suffered. The next day, Cheta snuck out to go check on the old woman and her sick son. When she got to their hut, she met the old woman's son eating the food she had prepared. He looked a lot better than the previous night, so Cheta asked if he was enjoying his meal. At that point, his old mother returned. She introduced Cheta to her son Chuma and told him that Cheta was the girl she told him about. Chuma then thanked Cheta for her kind gesture towards his mother. As the days went by, Chuma regained his health and soon became close to Cheta. He had fallen deeply in love with her and soon asked to see her parents. Cheta was so excited as she could not wait to spend the rest of her life with Chuma. One hot afternoon, Chuma visited Cheta's house with his two uncles. They met Cheta's father and mother, and Chuma declared his intention to marry Cheta. The traditional rites were soon performed, and Cheta soon became Chuma's wife. Ifechi's mother became restless. She could not stand the thought of her daughter single whilst Cheta was married. So, she pushed Ifechi into accepting the marriage proposal of Achebe, the village drunkard. Achebe was the popular village drunkard who could not do without his bottles. He asked Ifechi for her hand in marriage, but Ifechi turned him down a while ago as she could not stoop too low to marry a drunkard. However, due to Ifechi's terrible character, no man in the village had come to ask for her hand in marriage, only Achebe, and since Cheta was now married, Ifechi's mother coerced her into marrying the village drunkard. A few months passed and Cheta and Ifechi were now pregnant. They got pregnant at the same time, and Cheta saw this as a sign to push for peace with her sister Ifechi. She did all she could, but Ifechi remained adamant. A few months passed and the sisters were approaching their delivery dates. Cheta's husband traveled to the neighboring village for work, leaving Cheta in the care of her own mother. One fateful night, everyone had gone to sleep when a sharp scream was heard. It was Ifechi, who had just gone into labor. Her mother remained by her side throughout the birthing process. A few hours later, Cheta also went into labor. Her mother was so sick and unable to look after her daughter, so she pleaded with Ifechi's mother to watch over Cheta as she gave birth. It was a very busy night in their household as the two sisters gave birth a few hours apart from each other. Ifechi's mother then announced to everyone that her daughter Ifechi gave birth to a bouncing baby boy, whilst Cheta gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. Everyone was excited, including Cheta and her mother, as they thanked Ifechi's mother for watching over Cheta and her baby. Cheta named her daughter Mma, whilst Ifechi named her son Afam. Afam and Mma grew up so close. The feud between their mothers did not affect the bond they shared. They acted more like twins, and since Cheta was so kind-hearted, Afam grew closer to her and began to treat her like his own mother. This got his mother Ifechi jealous, as she could not stand the fact that her son Afam was spending more time with Cheta and her daughter Mma. Ifechi then decided one day to do something about it. She visited the popular juju man in their village, who gave her a substance to put into Cheta's pot of food. Ifechi was however scared of losing her son in the process, as Afam always ate at Cheta's house. So, she pleaded with the juju man to prepare the charm in a way that it will not harm her son Afam. The juju man agreed and requested for some drops of her blood to prepare the charm in a way that it will not be effective to her own child. When the juju man finished, he gave Ifechi the charm and directed her to put the substance in Cheta's food. Ifechi was so happy as she went on to pay Cheta a visit in her home. This was the first time Ifechi was visiting Cheta's house, and Cheta was so excited to see her sister in her home. Cheta went into her room to bring some drinks for Ifechi when Ifechi snuck into Cheta's kitchen to pour the charm into her pot of food. By the time Cheta returned from her room, Ifechi was standing in the living room. She pretended as if nothing happened and faked smiles and laughter with her sister Cheta so as not to raise any form of suspicion. Shortly afterwards, she returned back to her hut and was waiting eagerly for the news of the tragic death of Cheta and her daughter Mma. For hours, Ifechi waited, but nothing had happened. She rushed to Cheta's house and peeped through the window. Cheta and her daughter were not dead, and this infuriated Ifechi, who went back to the juju man to complain. The juju man was shocked as he could not understand why his charm did not work. He then suggested another charm, but warned that the charm was dangerous and irreversible. He asked Ifechi if she would like to proceed with the charm, and Ifechi agreed. The juju man then told her to provide one item each belonging to Cheta and her daughter Mma. The juju man, however, warned Ifechi not to bring any item that belonged to her own child, because if she did so, she would run mad instantly. Ifechi rushed home and returned with one item each belonging to Cheta and her daughter Mma. The juju man then proceeded with the charm, and halfway into his incantations, Ifechi ran mad and began to run around the village. What Ifechi did not know was that Mma was her own daughter and not Chetachi's daughter. When she brought the one item that belonged to Mma for the charm, she broke the juju man's rule as Mma was her own child. What happened was that on the night when Cheta and Ifechi gave birth, Ifechi gave birth to a baby girl whilst Cheta gave birth to a baby boy. Ifechi's mother could not stand the fact that her daughter gave birth to a girl, so she switched the babies and gave her daughter Cheta's son. All these years, Ifechi's mother kept this a secret even from her own daughter Ifechi. Now that Ifechi was mad, everyone wondered what had happened to her. The whole village went to seek the help of a seer who told them all that had happened. Cheta was shocked to hear that her stepmother switched her baby at birth. She could not believe that Afam was her son, whilst Mma was Ifechi's daughter. When Mma heard this, her heart broke because the only mother she had known all her life was Cheta. Although Ifechi had no idea that Mma was her daughter when she tried to kill her, Mma could not shake the thought that her own mother tried to kill her. So she made up her mind to remain the daughter of Cheta no matter what.